due to, I guess the Bengals' lack of free agency signings and the big signings that come with Jamar and T, this upcoming draft is one that they absolutely have to nail. They have to nail this draft, or it's going to be rough. And
Pretty
so,
much lights out.
yeah. And so, Paul Daner, who is one of the probably closest, like most intertwined Bengals writers, said he gave his list of what he believes the Bengals draft priorities are in order. So I'm gonna read them, then we'll talk about if we agree, disagree, and kind of we'll give our thoughts. But he said in order: offensive tackle slash guard, safety, linebacker, edge, and defensive tackle. So Zach, I know you don't agree with that, but what are your
I don't know
thoughts?
if anybody agrees with this, honestly. Um, my
Well,
order,
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, what would you say is your order?
my order would probably be, um, I think I'd probably go edge, guard, D tackle, safety. That's probably how I would go. I don't even know why is offensive tackle even on that list?
I
Our offensive tackle is on the only position that's actually good on the O line.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess it's pretty good.
I think it's maybe just like, a guy like Kelvin Banks, who's like technically an offensive tackle, but he can move to guard. So like they would probably play him at guard.
Yeah, it's
Or
like
like
a
Gray
versatile.
Zabel, who's like a guard, but also could play tackle. Like,
Yeah. So just like more of a versatile player.
because there's not a lot of like in this draft particularly, there's not a lot of like guards. There's a lot of tackles that project as guards. So
Yeah, that's fair.
if they
Okay.
draft an offensive tackle for like to be an offensive tackle, I'm gonna be done.
Yeah, that
I'm
that that would
I'm
yeah,
I'm
that's
done.
why I was like,
I'm done.
yeah. But
They're
yeah,
not going to do that.
that I'd probably go edge, guard, D tackle and safety. That's probably the order I would have. I don't really know why you would have it in any other order.
Yeah, I would say that too. Um, Maybe linebacker above safety, just because we don't really have many on
Yeah,
like
that's
linebacker. I'm pretty sure it's just Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, who still wants to be traded, which I don't know why that hasn't progressed at all. We didn't talk about that, but
that's another one. I don't know what's going on there.
Oren Burks, who they signed, who's decent, and then I can't remember if they have any other depth guys, but I think yeah,
Is Davis Gaither still there?
no, he's gone.
Okay, so yeah, I don't even know who else then.
Linebacker would probably, yeah, I would probably say my list would be edge, guard, T tackle, safety, linebacker. I would say
Yeah, yeah.
because apparently he said that they're they want to bring in a safety to compete with Geno Stone and or just have the job outright because Geno Stone sucked. So I don't know if
Another
that's in the
great
I don't
free
know
agent.
if that's yeah I don't know if that's in the first round or not, but
Yeah, yeah. I think you can get guys in the later, mid to late rounds, safety wise, that could probably come in and be a decent rotational piece at least. So yeah, safety would be towards the bottom of the list for me. Um, I and see, here's the issue that I have with just the whole off season so far, leading into the draft, which is coming up pretty soon here. Because the Bengals have just sat on their butts and done pretty much nothing worth anything in free agency except re-sign T and Jamar. Um, that puts us in quite a bind for the upcoming draft. So we haven't addressed our two biggest issues on this football team at all through free agency. We need a guard because we literally just have like two or three guards on the whole team. We need a guard badly. And the offensive line has been an issue since Joe Burrow's been here. And it is an issue that I have hounded and hounded and hounded on for them to fix, and they haven't really fixed it. Um, so the guard is an issue. They chose to not address the guard in free agency. Okay. Uh, okay, you're going to draft one in the first round. That's great. But then you need to address the other glaring issue in free agency, which is edge slash D tackle. Really just defensive line. And they didn't do that either. So the two biggest needs that we have in this draft class of offensive guard, I would probably say edge, but honestly, you could just say the entire defensive line. No, let's say edge because they brought in that tackle from the Packers and then they re-signed BJ Hill. So defensive tackle wise, it needs to be better. They need to draft some guys, but edge is more pressing. So the two biggest issues that you have on this football team, offensive guard and edge, you didn't address either one in free agency. So what are you going to do in the draft now? What are you supposed to do? You have two pressing issues that need first round draft pick attention. You need both of these things immediately to start winning football games. And they didn't address either one. And I don't know if I don't know if the front office is aware or not, but we only have one first round draft pick. We cannot draft both a guard and an edge. So I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, we just put ourselves in a hole here. I mean, we're like we are truly in a bind. We desperately need two different positions. Which way are we going to go? I don't know. We desperately need both of them. I mean, we're not fixing anything here. We're not fixing anything. Like this team is the same team we had last year. Nothing is fixed. So I don't and even if we did re-sign Trey Hendrickson, edge is a mammoth problem. The opposite of Trey Hendrickson is a huge issue. I mean Joseph Osai, Miles Murphy, who was a bust. I'm sorry, but he was. I mean, we needed to address one of those two in free agency, and we didn't do either. So we really, really screwed ourselves for this draft because I mean, like you said, we took ourselves out of drafting luxury. We need to hit on this draft. Like we dang near need to hit on every pick because we need so many different positions because we sat on our butts in free agency, except for re-signing Jamar and T. So I mean, yeah, I edge and guard in that order. I would say personally are the two biggest needs. Whichever way you cut it, we set ourselves up for failure. Whichever way they go in the first round, we set ourselves up for failure.
Yeah, no, like what I said off camera, which I'll reiterate here, is that because of, like you said, the lack of getting guards and getting edge help, um, you put yourself in a position to draft off of need rather than draft off of like luxury or like BPA. Because the Bengals right now really just need somebody that can come in immediately and help and like just be an immediate player and an upgrade. At really, I mean, any position other than like obviously like quarterback and like wide receiver. But now you kind of force yourself like, okay, like if let's say in the scenario they go edge first round, then you're looking second round, potentially getting a guard that might slide. And then if you don't like if for some reason they don't get a guard, you're honestly the guard position's worse than when Alex Capo was there and he was horrible.
It is. It really is. It
So
truly is.
so you need somebody like you need a guy that's gonna be like Mims was, where you were like pretty confident that he could come in and help pretty soon, if not right away. And there's only a few of those guys on the in the guard spot that I think are in this draft. I would say probably three that I can list off the top of my head. Maybe no, four that I can list off the top of my head. But three of them I would say would be potential reaches at where the Bengals are picking. So you kind of made it to where, pretty much like you said, if you draft one way, you still have a significant hole the other way, and it's not like they have a high second round pick, so it's like basically a first rounder. Like it's a mid to low second. So I think what are they at, like 47 or something?
Whatever 17 plus 17 is.
Yeah. Let me look it up.
We're not good at math.
49.
Okay.
So you're right on that edge of the top 50. So, um, I mean, you could maybe still get a top, you could probably still get a top 50 player, but I
Wait,
mean,
how
really,
do we have 49? Oh, wait, oh, oh, I am slow.
what?
Never mind. You need to edit that out. You need to edit that
No,
out.
I probably will.
All right. 49.
But yeah, so they're at 49, so like right on the edge of the top 50. But I mean, this edge class, which is super deep, it, I mean, it gets a little thin when you get into the second round. Um,
Yeah.
and then, like I said, I only believe there's like three or four guys in the um, guards in this draft that I believe can come right in and make substantial um, like help you a lot. So once you get out of the first round edge wise, you kind of have guys like Landon Jackson, who's good, but he might not even be there. Braden Swinson, JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer, Jarrett Ivy, Kyle Kennard. Like, those are guys who are, I mean, they're in that tier below guys like Mike Green, James Pierce, Donovan Zaraku, like guys like that. Um, and then guard wise, like you have obviously Tyler Booker, Kelvin Banks, Gray Zabel, um, Donovan Jackson, and then really after that, it gets pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's probably a few guys I haven't scouted every guard in the country, but um,
I'm sure we haven't either.
no. So, because we have four scouts, they probably don't even know who half these guys are.
Yeah, probably.
They're probably like Gray Zabel. Who's that? He went to North Dakota State. That's a college.
Yeah, probably. That's another issue with our front office. We don't hire scouts. We'll
Yeah,
all get there.
but so they kind of so they kind of forced their hand in this draft to where you have to draft of need. Now, can a guy slide? Yes, but
Not that.
I'm just knowing the Bengals draft history.
Yeah.
It's not great.
No.
So
It's horrible, actually.
yeah, so I'm not guaranteeing if let's say they do hit on the first round. I'm not guaranteeing that the second round guy is going to be a hit.
Nope.
Past
Look,
3 or 4 years, it
2021.
hasn't been.
Jamar Chase and Jackson Carmen.
Yeah, that's awful. So I'm not guaranteeing that the second round is going to be a hit, but so yeah, I kind of went from as my philosophy is in the draft, your best like your team's in a good spot if heading into the draft you can just draft the best player available and go with it. But and
That's fair.
you fill out your needs in free agency. And then in the draft is when you kind of plug and play some things that you didn't really that you kind of fixed, but like, not fully. Like that's what the Eagles do. They just draft BPA every single year and it
Yep.
obviously works for them.
Yep.
Which I mean they still could do, but like let's just say for the sake of this discussion, let's just say they throw a complete like curveball and they take like Colston Loveland or something. And then
What are you gonna do on the live stream of draft night if we select Colston Loveland?
I'll be like, well, we're gonna put up probably 40 a game, but we're gonna literally be a JV level defense. And Joe
I
Burrow
think I would.
was you would yeah. I mean
I
Colston Loveland's a heck of a player, but we just don't need him.
I would be pushed pretty close to the edge of not rooting for the Bengals if we did
Yeah.
that.
Well, even if they go defensive tackle, I do think that's a need, but I honestly think um like with the addition of Slayton, bringing VJ Hill, it's not that much. But I think the only thing I can justify the Bengals right now being like, okay, we're gonna set it in stone on guard is they're hoping and I guess anticipating that guys like Joseph Osai, Miles Murphy, McKinley Jackson, Chris Jenkins, guys like that elevate their play and become solid starters with Al Golden
Yeah.
and continue to progress. That's the only thing that I can see like them if they come out and say, okay, we think this is going to happen, this is why we drafted guard, I'll be like, okay, that makes sense. Now, do I necessarily agree with it? No, but I can see the thought process behind that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like an ideal scenario, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but I just don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not obviously it's not guaranteed.
Yeah,
But so yeah, they kind of just they have to nail the draft. Really, that's all it comes down to.
yeah,
Is
they've kind of screwed themselves, and they have put an unbelievable amount of pressure on themselves to nail the draft. And
when if they were
that
a team that historically, does decent in the draft, I wouldn't feel too bad about it.
no, no, but we are historically one of the worst drafting teams. So,
Yeah, like
um,
I'm pretty sure in the last probably 6 or 7 years, we've drafted other than 2020. 2020 was objectively a very good draft.
that was a good draft. Yeah.
We have not done great when we're not drafting in the top five.
No, we've actually done very bad.
Yeah. So
So it's quite concerning. And you know, the other thing that's frustrating is you've got guards that are sitting on the open market right now that haven't been signed yet.
yeah.
We could go out and pick one of these guys up and really free
Well,
ourselves. Because if we go out and pick up a guard who's probably, I mean, he's a veteran player, so he's going to come in and plug a hole for us, and he's going to be at least decent. Then that pretty much sets us. Okay, we are drafting an edge. We are drafting the best available edge at 17. That's that. But we're not going to do that because I know we won't. I mean, isn't Brandon Scurf is still on the market, isn't he?
yeah.
Like, why have we not made a run at him?
I don't know.
Like, I don't understand what is going on in this front office from any from I don't get it from any point of view.
Well, and like Tevin Jenkins, who was the guy that was closely linked to the Bengals, he signed like a 1 year, $3 million deal with the Browns. Like you're telling me that the Bengals couldn't be like, oh, here's $4 million.
I would be utterly shocked if the Bengals even talked to him, though. That's the thing.
I think
He might have
I
been linked,
no, I think they did talk to him,
and they
but
couldn't pay him more than that.
I don't think so. Like that's the thing. It's like he's 27. He's like decent. He's not great, but he's better than what you have.
Anything's better than what we have.
A 1 year,
Alex
four
Cap
million
is better
dollar.
than what we have.
Yeah, barely. Um, a 1 year, $4 million deal is not going to kill you. Like,
Nope, not at all.
but yeah, I guarantee you, Brandon Scherf would probably, if you said, "Here, here's $6 million for one season," he's probably like, "Yeah, I'm 34 years old. Probably not going to get anything more than that with the current market. So sure,
Yeah,
I
I
get to I
don't.
get to protect for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I don't understand why we don't make a run at him. Like he's just sitting right there. He's a great player.
They don't even have to give him
Veteran
guaranteed
player.
money. It's 1 year. You can just give it to him, and then he's gone off your books the next season. It doesn't kill you.
Yeah, like
You don't have to sign these guys for like a 4 year contract. That's not what I'm saying.
no, just sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal and go out and draft a freaking edge at 17.
I would feel so much more confident if we got like a guy like Brandon Scherf, and
Yeah,
then we went out and drafted edge, drafted guard, and then let the rest of the draft kind of play out how it will.
safety. Yeah, yeah.
But then it's like, okay, we have a rookie who we could start day one, if he's just better than Scherf is. But worst comes to worst,
He sits behind a veteran and
yeah.
develops.
Well, and the thing that you also have to consider is the past 3 years, the Bengals' offensive line has been decimated by injuries,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
so they never have enough depth. Like Cody Ford is playing like three positions at one point last year. He played like tackle and he's played like both guard positions and tackle for like 3 games or whatever. And so it's like, or your tackle goes down and you have Hakeem Adeniji as your like you just have to get like depth pieces at least because they haven't
You gotta
had that.
pull some dude up from the practice squad.
No, literally. Like that's what killed us in 2022 is our offensive line got hurt, and
Yeah.
then the guys we had to replace them were the 2021 offensive linemen who are the worst I've ever seen. And so, like you're like, oh shoot, Um, Cordell Volson's out for the year. Oh well, I guess we're gonna have to run with Jackson Carmen.
Back to Isaiah Prince.
Yeah, it's but that happened like this year. You know, you drafted Mims, and then you had Trent Brown. So you're like, okay, Mims can sit behind Trent Brown, but if Trent Brown sucks or gets hurt, which he did, then I feel confident putting Mims in there, and we put him in there, and he did really well.
Yeah, Mims had a very good season.
Yeah. So if you get a veteran guard, if he gets hurt or he sucks, and then you can just plug and play the other guard. But now you're gonna have to draft a guard, and you're probably gonna have to play him immediately if he's ready or not.
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't understand it. And also on the same hand, I don't understand why we haven't hopped on the trend of just taking SEC linemen. I don't really know why that hasn't become a thing that we've done. I mean, we did it one time last year. It worked out pretty dang good.
Yeah, I mean we've
Why
taken
don't we just draft out of the SEC?
Jonah Williams was Bama.
Jonah Williams was like serviceable though,
Yeah,
at
no,
least.
he was decent.
Yeah, like I mean,
I'm trying to think if we got
like Jackson Foreman was
Carmen was Clemson.
Clemson.
Price was Ohio State.
Yep. Isaiah Prince was also Ohio State.
You know, it's usually not a bad drafting SEC guys usually tends to work.
Just like
Just
draft
ask
offensive and defensive linemen, SEC players.
or draft like small school offensive linemen. They're always insane.
That usually does work out too, honestly. Like that dude, that center for the Broncos,
Linderbaum? Oh no, not Linderbaum. I know what you're talking about.
the white dude with the real long hair.
Oh yeah, Cody Mach, whatever. Yeah, he went
Yeah,
to North Dakota
yeah.
State.
No, he didn't go to North Dakota State. He was at a different school.
Oh,
He was at
was
like a
it?
D3 school. It was a very small school, but he's a stud. And I remember I think it was the 2021 draft. I think it was the draft with Jamar Chase. I remember it was like the fourth round, third it was either the third or the fourth round. And I had been saying all along this dude is a guy the Bengals very very well could get in the third or fourth round and should get because he was a stud in D3 and at the senior day he was making noise at the senior day. And I remember the Bengals passed on him and the Broncos took him and he's literally a
But they should have just
he's
extended
been a day
him.
one starter for them. And they got him in the third round. Like
Well, I don't even think the Bengals probably know that school exists because they don't have enough scouts to find them.
yeah, that's probably true.
They probably didn't even know that that school existed
Yeah, that's probably
because they
true.
don't have enough scouts to go anywhere. They send them to like Alabama, Georgia, and then like where's
Clemson.
like Iowa or something. And they're like, yeah, that's probably fine. It's like they
If we would have taken the Iowa DBs last year, that'd have been great.
I know.
But it's just like
They're not very good at drafting offensive linemen, that's for sure.
they're not good at drafting anything outside of quarterback and receiver. Chase Brown was a good draft pick.
Yeah, I mean they've hit on like Logan Wilson, Chase Brown,
They've hit on every position
Key.
here and there, you know.
It just hasn't been as consistent as you want.
Yeah.
Like going into a draft and you really only hit on one guy out of 7.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's a huge issue, actually.
Well, that's what happened in 2021. We hit on Jamar, which was a massive hit. And everybody else, I don't even think they're on the team anymore.
Nope. I can't name you anyone else from that draft class except Jamar and Jackson Carman. And the only reason I can name you Jackson Carman is because he was so terrible.
Yeah, well, let's hope and pray that the Bengals actually draft well and that, maybe this can be a stepping stone into further draft. Because I felt like last year they did decent. They did pretty well last year.
Yeah, it's a solid draft last year.
For the most part.
How about to get the ball rolling going into the draft, we re-sign Trey Henderson and go out and sign a 1-year guard? That would be great.
Yeah, I would like that. That would make my life a lot less stressful.
Yeah, dude.
But
that had me rolling though when you were talking before we hopped on with the James was it James Rapine was doing the mock, and he was like, "Yeah, if I was the Bengals, I would probably trade down here because we just need a lot, but I know they won't. So just for the sake of being realistic, I'll just take this guy." It's like that's so we don't do anything. We never do anything.
Like where they're sitting at 17, there's going to be a lot of good players sitting on the board at 17.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they could trade down and gain an extra third or whatever, second or whatever. Um, but yeah, they're not gonna do
No,
that.
they won't do it. They will sit at 17 and they will draft
Like,
some player that may or may not be good. I don't know.
like
Outside of the first round, it's probably going to be a real crapshoot.
there's a pretty legit chance that like at 17 you have like James Pierce, Mike Green, Gray Zabel, Kelvin
Michael,
Banks, like Michael Williams,
yeah, Michael Williams.
guys
Yeah,
like that, who I would all be okay with you getting.
yeah.
Um,
I would
so
love to take a couple of those
just
guys.
trade back.
Yeah,
I mean, not out
but
of the first round. If they do that, I'm going to probably I'm gonna be in a bad mental state.
if the first thing the Bengals like ever do draft trade wise is to trade out of the first round when we desperately need something in the first round, I mean, like what? Like,
I'll go to
uh,
Cincinnati and start rioting.
yeah, like just why?
That's not gonna happen though.
No, 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 no. We'll sit right there.
Yeah. All right. Well, the draft is about less than 3 weeks away, so um, in the meantime, the next couple episodes, we're going to be talking about the draft stuff, doing probably a couple mocks, talking a little bit more about highlighting some guys that we think they should talk about. Obviously, we just talked about some positions, but we'll probably headline a few guys that we believe they should go after. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, let us know what you think about the Bengals organization currently. If you agree with our uh, what's the word displeasure with them.
Displeasure,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know if that's a word, but unhappiness with how they've handled things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. See you guys next time.